Hello and welcome to this presentation of the iPad. This particular present that I published earlier on, and it's to do with an analysis of how I turned my iPad from a business toy into a business tool. A couple of things to note here is that the iPad is a fully functioning integrated tool, so you've got the ability to copy and paste and also go to hyperlinks as you would do on your desktop. So you've got multi-threading in here, which allows you to do more than one thing at any one point in time. You've also got the facility to have multiple pages, so you can have Google open and things like that, which is great. So that's the least I'd expect from my desktop application. So let's go and have a look at some of the other bits and pieces. Now, every time you want to type anywhere in any of the applications, this keyboard pops up, and the keyboard takes up about half of the desktop space. Alternatively, what you can do is just get one of the Apple keyboards and use that as an external keypad, and that's what I normally do when I have to use it for a prolonged period of time. But it's pretty functional. You can scroll up and down and so on. So let's have a look at some of the other things that I had to do to make this a viable business tool. The first thing was a VPN, and that was actually quite easy. That's one of the settings in here, which allows you to then control things like networking between the iPad and the external world. Obviously, I'm using Wi-Fi here at this point in time, using one of the Red IT access points, but I could alternatively log on to one of our VPN. We've got a VPN here or at the data center. Or alternatively, I could just use the 3G facility for that and just log in if there is no Wi-Fi hotspot. So that's actually very useful. So having done that, the next thing is to have remote access to my applications. And we carry out quite a lot of hosting at Red IT, and there are two ways of doing this. And the way we like to do it is by using an application which allows me to either log on to a machine in totality. So here's an example. So I'll log on to that particular machine, which is basically a Windows machine sitting there in our data center, which in this particular case is a Windows 2003 server, and I can then just go in here and do all the bits and pieces that I would normally be able to do, and open up a Word document and maybe do some typing and so on. So that's quite easy. So that's option one. Option two, though, is a lot cleverer than that. Instead of giving access to the whole desktop, we have the ability to actually just give access to particular applications. So let's say I'm just interested in doing some Excel bits and pieces. I can just open up Excel on the iPad and say 1, 2, and then just do the normal stuff and sum them all up. So that's a lot more efficient, and it's a lot easier to control from a security perspective. So I can either deploy a full desktop, full machine, or I can deploy just an application within that particular environment, which is excellent. So that's how I access my Office machines. Now, in terms of the Microsoft Office applications, Word, Excel and PowerPoint, we've already seen one method of actually using those, but obviously on the iPad that operating system doesn't allow you to use those applications, and there isn't an iPad version of Microsoft. But what there is this thing called iWorks, and iWorks has equivalent applications. So in terms of Word, that's called Pages. In terms of PowerPoint, it's called Keynote, which we've already looked at, and in terms of Excel, it's something called Numbers. And it's just like if you know how to use Excel, then you won't have any problems using the Microsoft, Apple equivalent for that. So I can go in here, double click on it, and go back, put 56 and so on, and that's done and dusted. And it's very intuitive and easy to use. So those are the Microsoft equivalents carried out in iWorks. So let's have a look at what else I had to do to be able to use my iPad as a business tool. So I've got the VPN, which means I can get onto my Office network. I can use remote application connectivity using remote desktop or our 2x environment. I can use iWorks to replace my Microsoft applications. But in terms of communication, as you may know, the iPad doesn't allow you to make phone calls, unlike the iPhone. So the way around that is to use an application called Skype. And what you do is you buy credits on Skype, and you buy a headset which has got a microphone built into it. You connect it into the iPad, and you can then make and receive those particular calls. Now, in terms of the iPad as a tool, you get an awful lot of applications in the App Store. Again, like the iPhone, this is buried in fantastic applications. So if I go into the application store and have a quick look at what's going on at the moment, you get iPhone-specific applications, but you also get iPad-specific applications. And you get a whole load of free ones, and you get a whole load of paid-up ones. And they come in different categories, and you then just basically look for whatever what you're interested in: productivity, sports, travel, medical, or whatever it is, and then you just download it. And on the back of that, I have downloaded various different applications, as you can see. And the first time I connected my iPad to my iTunes, it also transferred all of my iPhone applications. So I haven't lost access to those. But the problem with that is that some of the iPhone applications don't utilize the full screen. An example of that is actually Skype at the moment, because there isn't a iPad-specific Skype. Here it is. This is the iPhone one. I apologize, it's 90 degrees, but that gives you a feel for it in terms of what it does. So two things to be aware of here is that you've got the ability to use your iPhone applications on the iPad, or most of them, but the best thing to do is buy iPad-specific applications wherever possible. One of the best tools or best applications that I found is something called Air Video. What Air Video has allowed me to do is to stream all of my videos from home across the internet, so that when I'm stuck in a hotel, I can actually go and watch my movies. So in this particular case, I've got Jaws open, and I can just play that, and off it goes, and it's actually being streamed across the internet onto my iPad, which means that I don't have to actually take my entire movie collection along with me. There you go. It's actually quite respectable, actually. It works very well. So, in conclusion, I think the iPad out of the box needs quite a bit of work doing to it, and you need to download quite a few applications from the App Store. But having done those, you can replace your laptop with this iPad, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Over the last 3 or 4 years, I've used a tablet PC for my day-to-day work, but now I've moved on to the iPad, and I've transferred all of my day-to-day operations on here. And obviously the main one there would be email. So if I had to look at the email, I've got all of my email categories set up in here. So this is our corporate Exchange server that's being accessed, but I've also got my Hotmail, I've got my Google Mail, and I've also got the ability to have a look at all the folders that I've got in here. And there we are. Perfect. Well, I hope you found that presentation of interest. Please feel free to give me a call if you have any queries, and I'll be more than happy to respond. Thanks again, and take care.